Right, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, friends. I really do hope that. And welcome back to Chelsea News and the Chelsea studio here outside Stamford Bridge. It's reported that the deal is done. Mauricio Pochettino has agreed a 3-year contract with Chelsea Football Club, so saith the reports. And we're going to talk about what he's going to bring today by citing an article from The Athletic from Jack Pitt-Brooke. We will I'll link it down below to cite his work down in the description. So there's a lot to talk about. Thanks for joining me. If you want to keep up with the world of football that's ever changing and indeed Chelsea, check out OneFootball, my sponsor, the absolutely and always totally free application and platform, the best football companion app there is out there that will keep you informed with everything as it happens on your phone. It's not just the news, of course, it's match statistics, it's lineups, it's transfer news as well as coach transfer news. So do check out OneFootball. It's totally free. You can do it on all mobile devices as well as, your web browser. Just click the link in the top of the description and go check out OneFootball now. Let's do that, Right, so multiple reports popping off everywhere. Matt Law spoke about Pochettino agreeing, Fabrizio Romano spoken about it, how he wants to use young players. There's been, all publications essentially catching the waves now. And yes, it's been reported that it's a 3-year deal, which is probably the sweet spot, rather than giving him a 5-year deal like Graham Potter and overcommitting. 3-year, or maybe not as little as a 2-year deal as Thomas Tuchel originally under Roman Abramovich. 3 years is probably good. So we're at the point now where Chelsea are lost at sea. They're floating around. A lot of players need to go, but we need someone to take control. The owners will have recognised their mistakes this season. They've pretty much acknowledged it to a degree when they froze the general admission season tickets. Maybe a bit of a PR exercise, but the truth being told, they can't evade how disastrous this season has been for a multitude of reasons, but they they will still see positives. They will still see a young, talented squad. They will still be happy with a lot of the acquisitions they made in the summer, but probably more permanently in the January window, when they knew what they were looking for, when they had sporting directors, when they knew they could amortize the contracts for long periods of time before perhaps UEFA changes the rules this coming summer. So we're going to cite an article from Jack Pitt-Brooke, and he'll talk to us about Mauricio Pochettino, and we can start getting a vibe for what we are to expect with him as Chelsea manager. Here we go has been done for Fabrizio Romano, so we need to start, thinking, getting into that space, getting into the Pochettino space. And what does it feel like, this space, Before we start reading, please do consider dropping a like, or, subscribe or subscribing. As I say, not or, you don't have to pick one, do both, like and subscribe. And should you choose to subscribe, hit the bell, and I always will tell you to comment for your thoughts and feelings throughout the video, because I love reading your comments. Mauricio Pochettino has a saying: when a player signs a contract, they need to understand. They do not sign a contract to play games. You sign a contract to train. Then you wait for the manager to pick the team. Bang. Already feeling good. And that, unfortunately, Poch, all our players have already signed the contracts. It's not like you're going to come in and build a team and be like, right, you listen here, lad. It's like, no, they've all signed and they probably all expect to play. I don't know if that is the case, but off the bat, it's a really strong mentality. So much of Pochettino's approach to management is contained in those 36 words, including a sense of what he wants to see in his teams. Hungry, nom, 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 nom. Humble. I thought there was going to be another comma there, but there's not. Hungry, humble players who don't assume they have an innate right to start games. Right, I bet you had a wicked time over at Paris Saint-Germain then. A unified group where everybody's equal and respects everyone else. A squad who have fully brought into the manager's ideas, convinced rather than coerced, believing that they are now a part of something bigger than themselves. This sounds like a religion or a cult, and I like it. Those players who do not believe in the manager's ideas are welcome to go and play somewhere else. It's a bit Pep Guardiola-esque, this, isn't it? so far. That's what it sounds like to me. When people think about Pochettino and what he might bring to Chelsea, they may think about the aggressive high press and organisation in possession, the outcome you see on the pitch, or about the relentless running and the double training sessions to make that possible. And yes, this is all true, but the foundations are the human connections between Pochettino and his players. We spoke about this, the human touch. Sure, he's aggressive and he earns your respect, but he's the guy on the barbecue flipping burgers when he arranges, a social barbecue between all the staff and players. That's nice. What ties these different elements... I'll start that again. What ties these different elements of Pochettino's work, what ties them together, what makes the football really buzz? What's the pizzazz here, man? It's the ability as a man manager and a squad builder. Hot dog, we need all of this. I mean, it's easy to, in hindsight, build a positive piece, but it's looking, I'm almost certain there would have been something very, very similar on Graham Potter, but this is where we are and we move. This is why he did so well at Tottenham. Yeah, contextually. Creating an ethos, what we need. A culture, what we need, where none previously existed. Where we're at. Turning a disparate jumble of football into the most unified and determined Spurs team in modern history. He just had to give those players something to believe in. Yeah, I want something to believe in. The Chelsea fans want something to believe in. Give us that, Poch. But when Pochettino became the PSG coach in January 2021, he struggled to exert the same grip on the place that he had at Tottenham. That is a hard contrast, though, isn't it? There's Tottenham, the sort of Spursy vibes. They sort of kind of, the young underdogs are sort of you know what I mean? That kind of they kind of were underdogs, a young team that was put together and trained well under Poch, to PSG, the sort of manufactured or attempted manufactured Galacticos. How do you create a unified squad of hungry, humble players when some of them are being paid 10 times more than others? Exactement! And that's probably largely why the new Chelsea ownership are trying to make everyone get paid the same-ish, but all have the opportunity to earn more with the incentivized bonuses. How do you convince footballers they need to buy into your methods and respect your processes when they have won so much already in their careers? And how do you tell players they do not have an automatic right to play in the games where they have been when they have been signed by the clubs as ambassadors for their own sporting projects? Well, I hope you're about to tell us, mate, because it sounds interesting. Because I think you probably can't. The big question, as Pochettino takes over at Stamford Bridge, is whether this job will be more like Tottenham or more like his PSG. I think somewhere in the middle, though I do think personally this season has been suitably humbling for maybe some egos. Not that it was necessary. No one wants to go for a season like this, but hopefully there's been a bit of that so he can just kick the crap out of everyone. Will he be able to convince the players his methods are the path to improving themselves and building a winning team? Will he be able to sideline those who do not buy into his ideas? Will he be able to build a culture and ethos where none currently exists? Find out next week on Football Therapy. Make sure you like and subscribe. Obviously, that's not the end. I just thought I'd put a cliffhanger on there. Okay, I've just clicked PSG, which I didn't mean to do. Didn't mean to do that. Will he be able to say, will he build a culture where none exists, building the conditions for his style of football to flourish? Well, that is the question, and he's going to need help, I think. Think back to when Pochettino arrived at Southampton to take over at Tottenham. To take over... Arrived from Southampton to take over at Tottenham in 2014. That's 10 years ago now. I remember that. That was 10 years, nearly 10 years. 9 years. God, time just keeps happening to me, I think I've got a grip of it. I think I know what I'm doing. And then, it's 9 years since Poch has been at Tottenham. Or started at Tottenham. In hindsight, it has the appearance of a clean slate. A fresh start. Pochettino coming in and pressing the reset button. Returning everything to zero. But football is not that simple. And in reality, he inherited a mess. We're a mess. That sounds good. Hold on. I know that. We're a mess. In the 13-14 campaign, had been a disaster for Spurs. They sacked their manager and they sacked his replacement too. Not for the last time. Oh, it sounds like us. That replacement, Tim Sherwood, has called out a perceived lack of guts and character in the squad. Don't know if many of you listen to the Football Ramble, but Luke Moore, one of the hosts, once referenced Frank Lampard as essentially Tim Sherwood with A-levels, which obviously is slating my boy Frank Lampard, who I love. But I must say, I did laugh at that line, that Tim Sherwood with A-levels. So maybe there is parallels. They had no identity, no real football principles, and had been beset by injuries. Oh my God, that's me! It's like reading my horoscope. Confidence was on the floor, and the players had long stopped enjoying playing their part at White Hart Lane, scared of the negative atmosphere in their own stadium. To be fair, Chelsea, that's one thing that you can say about Chelsea. The players have been, rather the fans, have been very patient with the players. Pochettino inherited a bloated squad of 34 unfit, unmotivated players. Before he did anything else, he had to transform the mood. In those first few months, he spoke of the importance of changing habits and changing mentalities. Some of these were simple. Everyone would shake hands with everyone else at the start of the day. Pochettino would make himself available all afternoon to spend time with the players who wanted to talk to him. The goal was to get them believing in him and his ideas, but crucially also each other. Is he going to have the same energy? Because this seems mad. This is like young buck Pochettino. Do you know what I mean? Like, surely people get tired. Heck, I'm tired. Do you know what I mean? Like, is he going to want to do this open door policy thing? As he said earlier on, quote, "Our challenge is to create something special between 25 players," end quote. Only then could he provide the platform for their talents to flourish. Well, we need to lose about 10 players then. This means trusting young players who are hungry and ambitious enough to want to improve. Not just Harry Kane. Ding, 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 ding. I'm still praying for the Armando Broja Harry Kane evolution under Pochettino. Ryan Mason, Nabil Betaleb, and new signing Eric Dyer. The Galactico, Eric Dyer. They did not all play instantly, but all their contracts were to train, not to play. Remember, and they were given the belief that they needed to make a difference. Kane's 90th minute free kick winner. Kane taking free kicks away at Aston Villa. November is still one of Pochettino's favourite moments of his 5+ years at North London, because it kick-started a shared belief that Spurs were finally heading in the right direction. It also meant sidelining players who did not believe in Pochettino's approach. So at Chelsea, who's not going to believe in his approach? Excuse me. Like, I think players, there's going to be the highway players, my way or the highway, and there's going to be a lot of highway players. I just feel. There was not too much to change at the start of the first season, but after a few months it became clear who was buying in and who was buying not. Yeah, because at the first few months, everyone's going to be on the surface buying in. Like, Gaffer, look at me, I'm running around the cones. I'm good. Do you know what I mean? But after a while, the truth comes out of your real intentions, your level of dedication, and all that sort of gear, do you know what I mean? And for a manager like Pochettino, you're either fully on board with his work or not on board at all. It did not take long for Yunus Kabul, who was officially at the club, who's the club captain at the time, got loads, massive lists of the players that they got rid of here. They barely featured in the league, and after November, yeah, so basically, who would that be at Chelsea? I mean, we're going to flog, like, a bunch of people anyway. Hakim Ziyech is going to be sold. Aubameyang's going to be sold or released. I mean, I thought Sterling might be sold until he started, like, assisting and bagging braces and looking good. But, I mean, a bunch of players, there was talk of him wanting Pulisic, but we've got Mudryk, who are very similar in profile. Oh, great news before we move on. Thiago Silva staying at Chelsea. Of course, there were articles saying he might leave. Matt Law reported an article saying, look, Chelsea wouldn't stand in his way should he want to go to Fluminense. And then both himself to ESPN Brazil and indeed his wife Belle Silva on social media said, no, we're staying. We love Chelsea. Like, we're blue. Like, she obviously had a good time going to the game. She was singing and dancing with the fans. You've got to love Belle Silva. And they're all like, yeah. She's like, yeah, we're staying, man. Do you know what I mean? So that's positive news. So maybe Koulibaly will be sold. That's kind of where I was going with that, about these sort of senior players that can maybe make a bit of money. I don't think Koulibaly would make much. It was at 34 million when we bought him. You know, maybe, I don't know, not slightly inflated, because it is Koulibaly, but he's looked better in the absence of Silva, actually. But still, he might make 20 million, even though we spent 34 million on him last summer. Ugh. Without the shared commitment of fitness work, it would be impossible to play the Pochettino way. I'm looking forward to the Pochettino way, and it means you can almost be certain Gallagher is going to be part of it, can't you? Because it's high pressing, trying to win the ball back within 4 seconds of losing it. It would not just work if the players did not have the legs to execute that brand of football. Well, yes, it's going to be Gallagher, isn't it? There's no harder worker than Gallagher. The double sessions, gym sessions, the carefully controlled diet and nutrition, the monitoring regime to avoid injuries, must be good for Kante and Wes Fofana. They were all, and Reece James, and Ben Chilwell, oh god, we're a mess. All to get the players in best peak physical shape. A bit like me, really. I'm actually incredibly fat at the moment, and I am on a diet. All of this in service of an idea, the positional game. This is how Pochettino sees football, intending to dominate the game by controlling space, pursuing numerical superiority via the players' positions on the pitch. It's a very organised style. Only Pep Guardiola has become more rigid approach to it. Right, there's loads left in this article. I'm not going to read it all now because this is a long video and it's behind a paywall, but go check it out. But I want to talk about this. Overloads. That's what I want to see on the pitch. Hard work and shape and occupying space, that would dictate a team that knows what they're doing. It would demonstrate a team that knows what they're doing. And hot dog, we want to see that, mate, don't we? We are starved of that. So we'd like to see that. That's for starters. But when we got smashed up by Brighton 2-1, which felt more dominating than the 4-0 or 4-1 wherever they beat us before. That 2-1, well, we got away with a 2-1 loss somehow. How they were playing in that De Zerbi side, they were constantly, it looked like they were playing with 13, 14 players. Like somehow, when we attacked, they always had way more people back. And somehow when they attacked, they had way more people forward. I was like, where are all these players coming from? These really, really high fitness overloads was just so impressive. And that's what I want to see from Graham Potter. I'm quite excited. The more we learn like this in today's video about it, the more relevant and positive it sounds. We are going to do much more content on it, react to the Chelsea statement. And of course, we'll do a winners and losers, who's going to play, all that kind of stuff. So hit the bell when you subscribe. It's going to be a really, really fun ride. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing. Do click the link in the top of the description. Check out OneFootball. Why not? It's free. Nice one. Peace.